Hi everyone, I'm hopeful that all you will be fine. In the last session, we have learned how you can actually integrate the Zoom Web SDK as a web client view with the Angular. In today's session, we will learn how you can actually integrate the Zoom Web SDK as a component view with the Angular. Okay, so for that, we first need to create a component inside the app folder. We first need to navigate to the terminal and we need to type here ng G for generate, C for component, and we need to name this component called Zoom component view. Okay, we need to hit enter. Component is successfully generated inside the app, and now from here we need to navigate to .html file. Inside that we need to place a div container and we need to set the id called meeting SDK element, and then we need to navigate to zoom component view.component.ts file, and inside that we need to bind ng after content init event, and we need to return promise any, and we need to set here async also. Okay, need to format the code. Before importing the embed component view from the Zoom Web SDK, we first need to upgrade the Zoom Web SDK version. We need to navigate to the package.json. You can see here it is a 2.9.5. We need to upgrade that to 2.9.7. Okay, we need to remove the package log.json file, and then we need to first install the packages. Packages are installed successfully. Now we navigate back to .ts file, and here we need to import Zoom embed. We need to call import. Inside that we need to call Zoom us/web SDK/embed. At the end we need to call default. Need to save this, and then we need to create the client using the Zoom embed variable. So we say let client Zoom embed dot create client. Okay, need to format the code, and then we need to first initialize the client. So we need to call init API, and here we need to set the Zoom app root, and we need to bind the Zoom app root with this container. So we first need to select that here. So we say let meeting SDK element. We need to call document.getElement by ID, and we need to set here ID, which is the meeting SDK element. Need to check if, and we say meeting SDK element, then we need to move this client init from here to here. Okay, here we need to set Zoom app root, and we need to set meeting SDK element, and we need to set language. Inside that we can set en-us, and then we need to call client.join. Okay, inside the join we have needed the meeting number, signature, username, SDK key, and the TK is an optional token. If you have a registration enabled, then you need to pass that registration token as a TK inside this join API payload. Okay, so for the meeting number and the role, we first need to create a payload inside the component. We need to say payload any, and we need to call constructor. We will get the payload regarding the meeting number and role from our component URI, our query parameters. So we need to bind here activated route. So we say private route, activated route, and then we need to call ng on init, and we need to say void. Inside that we need to call route dot query params dot subscribe, and here we say params any, and we need to set those inside the payload. Payload will be params. Okay, permit, and now inside the join we need to set the meeting number, and we will get that meeting number from payload.meeting number, and we also need to set the username. We will get that also from payload. So we say payload.username, and we have also needed SDK key. We will get that SDK key from our signature helper endpoint. I have already created a basic Node.js API where we will build the signature helper, okay? And then we need to set password. We will also get that password from this .payload.password and tk as empty string. If you have a meeting with the registration enabled, then you need to pass the registration token inside this .tk variable inside the join payload. Okay, we also need to say it in the signature. Okay, so that's why we are facing this problem. Now the error is gone. Okay, we need to build the signature helper. Have already basic Node.js API. We need to navigate there. You can see it is a simple Node.js API which will be configured with the port 4000, and you can see inside the package.json it is only have an expression.env packages only. Okay, at the bottom we need to create an endpoint called app.post, and we need to set the path signature. Need to bind async request response. For building the signature, we need to install a signing package called JSRSA. So we need to type npm I JSRSA sign. Package is installed successfully. Now we also need to install the course package CORS. So npm I CORS course, and we need to the course is installed successfully. Need to close the terminal. And now we need to bind that course to the app. So we say app use. We need to first import the course. So we say course require, and then we need to use that here. Okay. And then we need to build the helper or handler for the signature generation. So for the signature, we first need to generate issue it. We need to call math.round. Inside the method round, we need to call new date.getTime, and we need to divide that by 1000, and we need to minus 30. Okay. Then we need to build the expiry, and we need to first add the issue date plus we need to multiply by 60, and then we need to multiply by 2. Okay. The last number is for the expiry in hours. Okay, and this handler will generate the signatures which will be expired after the 2 hours. Okay, so if you want to increase the expiry in hours, then you need to change this last number. Okay, and then we need to create the header. So we say const header for the signature. So inside the header you need to set 2 fields. First one is a ALG, which is for the algorithm. We need to set algorithm HS256, and then we need to also set PYP as a type of the signature. So it is a JWT. Okay, then we need to build the payload. Inside the payload we need to set the MN as a meeting number. We will get that meeting number from request.body.meeting number. We also need to set role. We will get that also from request.body.role. Okay, and we also need to set SDK key. For SDK key, we need to create a .env file in the root. So we say .env. Inside that, we need to say Zoom meeting SDK key. Okay, we will get that key from marketplace.zoom.us. I will show you that later. SDK secret. Okay, now we need to copy this environment variable related to the meeting SDK key. We need to call process.env.meeting SDK key. Okay, then inside the payload we need to set issue date. We have already issue date created, so we need to set that, and then we need to set the expiry. We have also that. Okay, now we need to use the package called JSRSA sign, which we have already installed. We need to first import that. So we say const kjur, and we need to call require JSRSA sign, and here we say signature. We need to call that package, and we say .kjur.jws.jws or sign. Okay, so this sign API will use our SDK secret and will sign the payload. Okay, so first parameter for the sign API is the ALG, which requires the algorithm. We need to set HS256, and then the next parameter is regarding the header. And you can see here header is a type string. We have a built-in header as an object. We need to stringify our object to a string. Okay, so we need to call json.stringify, and we need to set here header. And then we need to set the payload. You can see the payload is also a string, so we need to stringify the payload also. We say json.stringify, and we need to pass payload. And the last parameter, we need to set our meeting SDK secret, which we have created here. We need to copy this environment variable, and we need to call process.env.meeting SDK secret. Okay, then at the bottom we need to return response.json. Inside the response we need to return signature, and we also need to return SDK key. Okay, we need to copy that SDK key from environment variable. We need to copy this line and paste it here. Format the code. Before starting the API, we first need to get the meeting SDK key and SDK secret. So we just need to navigate to the marketplace.zoom.us, hit enter. You need to click on sign in. We need to log in. Then you need to click on manage. If you do not have already meeting SDK app, then you need to click on build and build a meeting SDK app. I have already meeting SDK app. You can see here. I need to click that. Just click on app credentials and copy the SDK key and paste it inside the .env. Okay, so paste inside the SDK key. We also need to copy the SDK secret. Need to paste that here. Save. Then we need to run the project. So we say npm start. API has started successfully. Now we need to place a breakpoint here, and we need to navigate back to our Angular project. And here I'm just going to install a HTTP client package called XOS. You can also use the built-in package with the Angular, but I'm just going to install that. Package is installed successfully. Now I need to import that. So const XOS require XOS format. Before joining, I need to call for signature helper endpoint. So I say here const data, and we say await XOS. Inside that, we need to bind the URL, and the URL will be http localhost 44000/signature. Okay. Need to set the method to post, and then we need to set data as a payload, and here we need to set meeting number. We will get that meeting number from the payload. So we say payload.meeting number. We also need to set role, and we will get that also from payload. Then we need to bind then. Here we say response, and we need to return response back. Then we need to bind cage. Inside the cage, we need to bind error, any. Here we need to return error back. Okay. And then we need to first set the SDK key. We will get that SDK key from data.SDK key, and signature also from data.signature. Okay. Now we need to start the project. So here we say npm start. Compiled successfully. Now we need to open the browser. before requesting that component, we first need to get the meeting ID and password. So we need to navigate to the zoom.us/meeting. We need to schedule a meeting, test meeting. Okay, save. Need to copy the meeting ID from URL, navigate back. And now we need to type the component path. I think we have missed one thing, and which is a path regarding that component. Okay, and so we need to navigate to the app.module.ts, and here we need to copy this path, and we need to change this meeting to Zoom, and we need to also change the Zoom component view component. Okay, now we need to navigate to the localhost port 4200/Zoom, and we need to copy the meeting ID once again. Here we say meeting number. Okay, to copy meeting number, we also need to copy the password, and we copy that from meeting. So issue, and we need to select this passcode. Navigate back and set that here. We have already username, and we need to set the role. Okay, role will be 0. Before requesting that component, we need to place a debugger here so we can verify that all the things is going along correctly. So we need to now request hit enter, and you can see we are on our signature helper endpoint, and we need to move step over, and you just have a meeting number. You can see you have a meeting number and also role 0. Just click continue, and it is mentioning the meeting passcode is wrong. We will check that. So I think we need to remove this breakpoint once again and hit enter. I think we do not have configured that inside the join. We have a configure. Okay, so now I need to hit enter once again, and you can see we have a password, we have a username, we have a meeting number, we have a SDK key. Here we can also check number, role, and now we need to step over data. Inside the data we have a signature, and we have also SDK key. Okay, now click on continue. You can see the meeting passcode is not valid. Okay, so I think I need to verify the meeting ID and the passcode. Okay, so I think we are getting something wrong. I think we have some type of mistake with the meeting ID. Okay, you can see the meeting ID is invalid. Enter once again, continue, and continue. Now you can see we are getting message called the meeting has not started. We need to first start the meeting. Cancel, launch from browser, join from browser. Now we need to refresh this once again, continue. And you can see we are successfully joined with the Zoom component view with the Angular. Okay, so this session is going a bit long. I'm going to end this session, and in the next session I will show you how you can actually customize this component view. Okay, If you have any query regarding this session, then just please place your queries inside the video comment section. Either you can share your queries and suggestions via my shared contact details. Take care. Bye bye.